Welcome to the podcast Life After Addiction and Indictment. I'm your host, Steve Cloward, and I spent most of the last decade and well over $100,000 on coaches, consultants, masterminds, and events trying to figure out how to reclaim my life again. On this podcast, I'm going to share the tools, the tips, the tricks, and the hacks that allowed me to forgive myself so that I could reclaim my life again. I'll be interviewing experts in mindset, leadership, entrepreneurship, sales, marketing, branding, and so much more. I'm glad you're here. Sit back and relax and enjoy the show.
Let's go! This is Life After Addiction and Indictment.
Hey folks, welcome back to Life After Addiction and Indictment. Today, I've got a special treat. I've got a gentleman who I'm just getting acquainted with, but his background is phenomenal. He's written over, I believe it's 21 books. He's a Pulitzer Prize nominated storyteller, award-winning international speaker. I mean, he's spoke at the likes of Harvard, Oxford, the Stock Exchange. You know, he's had over 100 TV experiences. This is a gentleman that you want to listen to if you want to learn how to get your message out. So, Clint Arthur, welcome to the show today. Appreciate you being here.
Hey, man, I'm happy that I can be here, because very likely I should have been dead as a result of being addicted and drinking alcohol every day. I mean, the fact that I survived to be as old as I am is a miracle. So I'm really happy to be with you.
Well, that makes two of us. So I'm grateful to be here as well. Well, just quickly, let's, I'm interested in a little bit of that, of course, but I think where the value that you can really bring the audience is what you do and really master and become so good at helping people position themselves in the marketplace. And a lot of the audience, are people who have been through things like us, but maybe are kind of stuck. They've got their dream. They're, not sure really how to go after it. And they've allowed maybe the setback they've had to hold them back. So how long were you drinking and drugging, and then how long have you been sober?
Well, what happened was I graduated from college. I went to the Wharton Business School, and It was always my dream to go to this amazing business school because I figured if I could graduate and become somebody special, that maybe my parents would stop arguing. And I graduate, because when you're a kid, you think everything is your fault. And I was kind of right. I was kind of right. I graduate, I come home to get the attaboys, and what happens? They get into the biggest argument of all time. My dad storms out of the house, slams the door. I turn to my mom. I go, Mom, the way he resents you all these years, have you been cheating on Dad? And I'm sitting there on the couch in the living room where I've grown up my whole life. And I'm thinking, wow, where did that question come from? I never thought that idea before. And then I'm thinking, wow, what kind of rude person have I become? I just said that to my own mom. That's like the rudest thing in the world. And then I'm thinking, how come she ain't answering the question?
Yeah.
And then she goes, he's not your real father. Your real father was a doctor at the fertility clinic we went to for 6 years trying to have you, and you look just like that guy. And I'm like,
way, dude, I've seen like a Dateline on it still like that. A doctor that did that. Are you seriously?
And,
wow.
So I didn't know what I wanted to be anymore when I grew up. I didn't know who I was, and I sure as heck didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I call up the investment bank, the 87th floor of the World Trade Center, #1 World Trade Center, and I say, sir, Mr. Vice President, I decided I don't want to be an investment banker anymore. And what did I do? Naturally, I ran off to Hollywood to try to become somebody. I tried to figure out who I was. Most people go there to lose themselves, but I went there to find myself. And I found myself becoming a very special person. After like 7 years of writing scripts and going on auditions, all my credit cards were maxed out. Finally, I had a baby who was needing, diapers and formula. And I started driving a taxi, and I became the very special person. Indeed, I became the Wharton Business School taxi driver.
Wow.
Yeah. So, it takes me through to December 31st, 1999. And, maybe you were getting Y2K cash out of an ATM. partying with your family or friends. I was driving yellow cab number 6087. And in the back of my cab that night were these two guys who were MBA interns at Goldman Sachs. I'm listening to them talk. Hey, man, did you hear about Mr. Carrera? They made him the last partner right before the Goldman IPO, and he cashed out $1 gazillion. And I'm like, hey, you talking about Chris Carrera? How do you know Mr. Carrera? Chris Carrera was a pledge in my fraternity.
Wow.
When I was a pledge master, I used to make them, all those little punks, dance around the living room of the house with their tiny whiteys on top of their heads. And here this punk just cashed out $1 gazillion. I drive the cab back to my little boat. I'm living on a little boat in Marina del Rey because that's the cheapest way to survive. At 6 a.m., I'm done for the night. I crawl into my V-berth bunk on the front of the boat and I pull out my cash and I'm counting out my cash out of my sock, right? $513. I was supposed to be somebody special. Where was Chris Carrera tonight partying at the Rainbow Room? I'm busting my ass driving a taxi. I was supposed to be special. And, you know, that's the night that I quit. I said, that's it. I can't keep throwing my life away, chasing a dream that ain't never going to happen.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know what it's like to give up on a dream, because after that, I just was desperate to make some money and try to have a life.
Yeah.
You know, I've been chasing the dream for 13 years, and all my friends are becoming millionaires and billionaires. And I had one line on my resume: taxi driver. Not a great line to have on your resume.
Wow.
So I started. I got out of taxi driving. I got into selling gourmet food. And then I started building houses, you know, like buying a lot and building.
Yeah, spec house.
Yep, specking a house.
A lot of that.
And you know, it was a great thing to do in the 2000s. That was
Yeah.
a lot. That was a great thing to do, and I became very fat and happy, as they say. I was quite fat and happy, and you know, unfortunately, I was obese, not fat, and I wasn't really that happy. And that's when I sought out help from men's self-help groups and teams. And I was at a men's self-help campfire one night, and on the other side of the crackling yellow and orange flames, there was the shaman. You don't know it yet, but you're already dead. What are you talking about, man? I'm the most successful guy on this team. 8 years ago, I was a freaking cab driver. Now I'm a millionaire. I was living on a little boat. I live in a mansion. You're already dead. You just don't know it. And I didn't know what the heck this guy was talking about. But I couldn't stop thinking about the shaman at the campfire. And I'd wake up in the middle of a night out of a sound sleep for months. I'm already dead. What does he mean? And it came to be New Year's Day of 2009. And I asked myself a question inspired by the shaman. I said, you know, I don't really understand what it means to be already dead. I mean, it seems I'm alive. What do I know? But maybe what if I was going to die at the end of the year? What if this was going to be the last year of my life? What would I want to accomplish? And that was a question that came out of nowhere, like the universe delivered that question.
Yeah.
And I answered that question with the surprising answer. The first thing I wrote down was, I got to write my book about what I learned at the Wharton Business School that helped me to become successful as a businessman once I stopped trying to chase my dream of being a movie star and an actor. And you know, that was an amazing thing, because I wrote that book in 8 days and I published it.
Wow.
Self-published it on Amazon through.
Very cool. Yeah.
It was called Create Space. And I was waiting for all the sales.
That was book number 1, Create Space.
Yeah. I mean, Create Space was where I published the book, you know.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It was called What They Teach You at the Wharton Business.
Right. Gotcha.
And the first year of publication, all 8 of those sales rolled in. All 8 of them.
Yep.
And I sought out a mentor. And this is the really important thing. See, I've been lucky enough to realize that I don't know everything, that it's smart to invest my time and money and efforts into learning stuff from smarter people than me. And the smarter one that I met was called Jack Canfield, and he wrote a book called Soup for the Soul. And I said, Jack, how do you sell 500 million books? I can't even get 9 people to buy my book. And he said, you got to become somebody special. You got to go on TV. You got to go on radio. We didn't even have podcasts back then.
Yeah.
You got to go in magazines and get interviews. And I started doing that. And, you know, luckily for me, my book was about the Wharton Business School. And this is a really important part for people who are authors and speakers and coaches. If you have a book, you got to do your best to make it a great book. I know there's all kinds of little quickie books and they have their place. But the problem is that if you're just with a first-time book, if you don't really believe in it, then you're not going to be able to promote it.
Right.
And luckily for me, I looked at that book collecting dust on a shelf and I said to myself, holy cow, I can't let my book about the Wharton Business School,
No kidding,
stuff that I learned at the best business school in the world, just collect dust on a shelf. I got to invest money in promoting that book, because this is what it all comes down to, is a book is there really to help you promote yourself.
Yeah.
And you invest money in promoting the book or whatever you're doing to help build your own personal brand as somebody.
Yeah.
You know,
A lot of people, it seems like that's really become a thing, you know, in the last several years, you know, the last 5 years, it seems to, you know, make people look like they're more credible. Is that true?
well, you are more credible when you
Yeah.
write a
I mean, if you have a book.
it really does say a lot about a person if the person has a book. It
I would
really
agree.
does say a lot, because number one, it says you have the ability to focus and complete a project, which most people don't.
Oh man, no kidding.
Right?
Especially this day and age.
You got to,
Jeez.
you know, you got to write 20,000 words. Most people can't put together a sentence, let alone 20,000 words. So if you have a book, then you are a person who is committed to what you're trying to do. A lot of people, they just don't have the commitment. I know, I got this one client and I've been telling him to write a book for years and he just hasn't written the book. And he's wondering why he's not getting the traction. The traction comes from the fact that you're either lazy or you're just really not committed to what we're doing. You like to come, he likes coming to my events. He loves my events.
Yeah. That doesn't take a lot of effort. I mean, you just go enjoy it. Yeah. Network and.
Well, it does take effort to show up.
Well, certainly, yes. And it takes money. And
a lot of people can't show up. And
Yeah.
I give him credit. He is able to show up. He is able to hang out and share ideas and talk and tell stories and be entertaining. That's good. Telling stories is very important. But his problem is that he doesn't have that piece of credibility and authority that you get from having a book.
Gotcha.
And what it manifests in is a lack of belief in oneself that undermines the way you speak and undermines the way you try to persuade people with your ideas. And unfortunately, you know, if you are lying to yourself, right? Unfortunately, you know if you're lying. And it took me a long time. When I look back on my whole thing with my Hollywood career, that never happened. I definitely, it took me many years before I could acknowledge the fact that, yeah, a couple of my big opportunities, my big breaks that I had, I blew them because I was up late smoking pot and drinking alcohol the night before I was supposed to be on set at 7 o'clock in the morning to produce and direct and star in the little movie.
Gotcha.
Okay. But I had to smoke pot and drink alcohol because I was addicted and I didn't realize it.
Wow.
I quit smoking marijuana for 18 months before I realized I had been an addict. And the only reason I knew that I had been an addict was because of the Wharton Business School. There was this guy who wanted to be a pledge in my fraternity. And in the meeting, when they brought this guy up, I stood up in the meeting. I said, there's no way that drug addict loser who spends his whole day smoking pot and eating magic mushrooms is going to be a brother in this house. I'm blackballing that guy right here, right now. And yet after college, I became very good friends with that guy. So I could be smoking his buds. Imagine that.
Wow.
And after I quit smoking marijuana, I was walking by this cafe in my neighborhood in LA, which was renowned for having a room where there was all kinds of 12-step programs. And I said, well, I'm curious what's going on. And there was a meeting starting. I just sat down. I didn't know what was up. It was an NA meeting. And, they're like, hey, my name is Joe and I'm an addict. Hey, my name is Mike and I'm an addict. And I'm thinking to myself, am I an addict? And I thought about how I had taken the Johns Hopkins quiz, the question.
Oh, yeah.
Got one right, then maybe you got a problem. 2 yeses, you probably have a problem. 3 yeses, you most likely have a problem. And with alcohol, I could never get to that third yes. But with marijuana, I thought to myself, let's see. I smoke every day. That's 1 yes. I smoke at the same time every day. I'm not sure if that's one of the questions, but I smoke by myself. That's 2 yeses.
Yeah.
The third yes came from the guy. I associate with the lower class of people because of my addiction. And when I was sitting in that meeting, I finally put it together. Holy cow, I've been an addict all this time and I didn't realize it because there's this whole line of BS that marijuana is not addictive. It's not an addictive.
I hear that all the time to this day.
It's not an addictive drug,
Yeah.
Well, I was addicted to it. According to answering the Johns Hopkins questions, I had 3 yeses because of that guy. And I stood up in that meeting and I said, hey, I've never said this before, but my name is Clint and I'm an addict. And everybody applauded. It was like the first standing ovation I ever got in my whole speaking career. I haven't had a lot.
Wow.
But that was one of them. And that was a real important moment for me because I realized that I had been addicted and I didn't even know it.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I think and then how can you even address something if you don't know it? You can't, and that's what happens so often, that end or just flat out denial. You're not willing to look at it. But so that has a huge impact. And then what was it, the next steps that kind of got you heading down the path to where you're at in today's world with all the success and the influence you have and the people that you network with, the people that you actually are able to work with is pretty incredible.
Well, I started going on TV to promote that book, What They Teach You at the Wharton Business School. And after I did my first 4 shows, I showed them to my wife. And I said, what do you think? And she said, I think you suck. And I said, I think you're right. And if I'm ever going to get good enough to go on the Today Show, which was my big dream, that I better do a lot more practicing. So I'm going to hire this publicist to get me 10 more shows. And she goes, whoa. Why do you keep paying this lady all that money? Why don't you book yourself on these shows? And I'm like, what? How do you book yourself on TV news and talk shows? How do you even do that? And I had to figure out how to do that. And it took me 9.5 weeks of getting up at 2:30 in the morning every night and making cold calls to random TV stations around the country until 10 o'clock in the morning. That's what I would do from 2:30 to 10:30, calling TV stations. And finally, after 9.5 weeks, I convinced this lady in Biloxi, Mississippi to give me my first booking. And once I booked myself on a show, I'd been paying this lady $1,500 per booking. And
wow.
I just saved $1,500 and I kept going. The first year I booked myself on 7 shows. The second year I booked myself on 20 more shows.
Wow.
That's like 30 grand that I saved.
Yeah.
And it was really exciting because when I did, so I paid for 4, I got 7, I did another 20. My 32nd appearance, I booked myself on NBC New York, which was the #1 market. And I had been on some smaller national shows by then. My 57th appearance was on the Today Show, and Brooke Shields and Willie Geist interviewed me. And they go, wow. Hey, you ask yourself a great question every year. What's that question? I said, ask yourself, if this was going to be the last year of your life, what would you want to accomplish? Because that's been the superpower that has broken me through my fear, my procrastination, my doubt. I just had to make it happen because what if I was going to be dead at the end of the year?
Yeah. What a great question.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Tony Robbins says, you want to live a better life, ask yourself better questions.
Well, there's a great one right there.
It really is.
It really is. I mean, I've experienced seeing couple of different situations with life ending, in the future, and how habits and attention changed, but why have to get to that point where you've got, whether it's a stage 4 cancer, whatever, when you can just ask yourself the question, plan accordingly, and take that same action? So for me, that is an incredible question.
If you want help with it, I wrote a book called The
Jeez.
Last Year of Your Life. It's on Amazon. You can get it. It's $20. It'll guide you through the whole 52-week experience. Because I've done it. I did it hardcore 4 years of my life, where I had people in my Last Year of Your Life group that I was coaching through the experience. Because I did it with my men's team. And then I went on a big radio show called Coast to Coast AM with George Noory.
Mhm.
I've been on that show 4 times. It's a huge show. And
Wow.
from that show, I had like 120 people registered in my Last Year of Your Life program, leading them through the experience of living as if you're going to die. And it really is awesome if you can commit to it. If you can just, like this watch, I love this watch. It's Rolex.
Yep.
And I saw it right before my 6-year wedding anniversary with my wife. I saw this watch in a store, and we went on a vacation to Hawaii. And I said, wow, you know what? I saw this watch in the store in Century City, and I just can't stop thinking about it. And she goes, well, buy it. It's the last year of your life. I had never bought something like this for myself. It's a lot of freaking money to wear as a piece of jewelry on your wrist. But I'll tell you what, I live in a very nice house. Okay. Here, I'll give you a little view. Here's a little view. This is the view from the window, right?
Yeah, that doesn't suck.
It's an 8-bedroom house, and we rent it out. It's 19,000 square feet of construction and 25,000 square feet of property. And we rented it out to this family and another family and their kids. And we came over to hang out with them for dinner one night. And the guy goes, hey, man, I'm in the jewelry business. Do you want to sell your Rolex? There's a real shortage of Rolexes today.
Yeah.
I go, no, I would never sell this thing. I mean, this thing gives me so much pleasure every single day that I wear it, because I was a taxi driver for 6 years, and you don't do that just for fun. You only do that because you need to survive, right?
Yeah.
And so for me to have this watch and the life that I live, I'm so grateful, and I really appreciate what I have like you cannot even imagine.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what a great reminder. I love your wife's answer, the same thing, go get it. It's the last year of your life,
It changes a lot of stuff, man. It really does change a lot of stuff if you live as if it's going to be the last year of your life.
Well, I'll be sure I'll definitely have the links in the show notes to the link for that book and many others as well. So that's great, man. That's so awesome. So, I know you've had experience with, a lot of celebrities, helping them, talk about, let's kind of focus on, as we kind of wrap up the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes, the power of the story, because like you said, for entrepreneurs, business owners, anybody that's got something that are trying to get out in the marketplace, it's all about attention, and talk about the power of the story, if you don't mind.
Look, it's vital for any entrepreneur to understand that you can think your product is better than the next guy's product, but you probably have a very similar product or service to your competition. And whoever has the best one, that's a subjective opinion.
That's right.
And what people are really buying is your belief that your product or service is going to solve their problem.
Bingo. Yep.
That's what they're really buying. So how do you do that? Well, you got to make them think that you got to make them think that you are somebody special. Because like when Kim Kardashian says, man, this lipstick is my favorite. I wear it and it never comes off, and it never makes a mess on my white leather upholstery and my private jet.
Yeah.
Right. And at the end of the night, it's still perfect every time. When Kim Kardashian says that, that's one thing. But when your sister says that, it's a completely different thing. It's like, well, who are you? You probably spend more time listening to and watching Kim Kardashian than you do your own sister.
That's right.
In this day and age, I see Kim on my Instagram every single day.
Yeah.
I know her. I love her. I trust her when she says stuff. And I also admire her greatly. And the way that you develop all of those things, the familiarity, the trust, the admiration, all of that is done through storytelling. And there's different ways to tell stories. Some of them are just pure visual. You know, when you watch the Instagram story of Kim kayaking with Pete Davidson during their vacation in the Bahamas, that's one type of story. But then there's another kind of story where you just tell the stories like I've been doing in this interview.
Yep.
And that kind of storytelling is underappreciated and underutilized by most entrepreneurs because they don't realize how many people you talk to every single day. If you just think about how many people you talk to every day, and if you were just telling the important stories that help people to get to know you and like you and trust you, like my story about finding out about my father not being my father, or my story about my being a taxi driver. These are stories that I tell all the time. Anybody who is my client or prospect probably has heard me tell those stories. Not exactly the same every single time, a little different every single time, but it's the story. That's my story. My story is, hey, I chased the Hollywood dream for 13 years, put me behind the wheel of a cab. Today, I've worked with every major international superstar, 5 presidents of the United States, and I'm a multimillionaire living in a mansion in Acapulco. And people come to me for my high-priced seminars and coaching. That's my story.
Yeah, that story doesn't suck there, Clint. It's powerful though, too. I mean, because, you know, like you say, you started out, you went to the school and, you know, then you get that story told to you that, you know, makes you go and kind of, you know, lose your identity, try to figure out what's going on. You end up driving a taxi. I mean, how is that not captivating to anybody, you know? And then to see the transition and what you do with your life after you implement some of the things that you did. And I emphasize also, because I believe that you've kind of said this without directly saying it, the importance of investing in yourself. And well, you did say it, you know, finding people that, you know, basically that have what you want to help you get it. I mean,
mentors,
you know, it's short. Yeah, mentors is critical.
It's another thing I said on the Today Show. Willie Geist goes, you know, we all want to climb to the top of Mount Everest, but how do you keep from falling off track? And I said, invest in mentors.
Bingo.
I've spent so much money on all of the mentors. I've worked with all the mentors. If you read my book, Wisdom of the Men, okay, this is the one that was nominated for the Pulitzer Prize. If you are an Audible subscriber, do you have Audible?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. You probably got extra credits that you just can't get rid of. Crack off a credit and get Wisdom of the Men by Clint Arthur on Audible. I read the book myself. It's not just reading, it's a performance. The whole 9.5 hours is, if you've enjoyed these stories right now, you will love Wisdom of the Men, because I performed it and I put my whole life in that book. And you'll see all the many mentors that I've paid so many thousands and thousands of dollars to and learned. And a lot of things that I learned from these people. And it also goes into, how do people like me and Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone and Dean Graziosi, and Dave Asprey, what do we do to help position ourselves in the eyes of customers and prospects so that they think of us as being somebody special? Like when I say Tony Robbins, you think he's pretty special?
Yeah, he's the top of the game.
He's the top of the game, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows who
Everyone
Tony
knows that
Robbins
name
is, right? Okay, well,
same with, I mean, I know every name you said, you know.
I get it. I mean,
including yours.
I've studied with all of those people, you know.
Yeah.
And here I am with the guy you know too, right?
Oh yeah, Dr. Oz.
Yeah, he was at my most recent event. He was my speaker. And I could show you a nice video. He goes, hey, it's Dr. Oz, and you've made a smart decision to spend time with Clint. There's other things you could have done, but going to Clint's event is a smart investment of your time, because I'm a mentor to a lot of people. But Tony Robbins is a mentor to a lot of people. And I'm going to play you a video that's going to blow your mind. And everybody knows who Tony Robbins is, but I'm sad to tell you. Here you go.
You recognize him? Yeah. Hey, do you know who Tony Robbins is? Yeah. I showed you his picture. You recognize him? Yeah. You thought you knew who he was, right? You have no idea.
No, I actually don't. I thought he was an actor. He's not an actor.
No.
No. Okay.
Okay.
Actually, it surprised me, but it doesn't.
Tony Robbins is, you know? Know who he
None of
is?
them.
Do you know who Tony Robbins is? No? How about you? You know who he is? Nobody.
Now you may be thinking, well, they're just the wrong demographic. Yes, that's true. They're the wrong demographic. Let me show you another demographic that, you know, you might expect that they would know who Tony Robbins is, but these construction workers I'm going to show you. Hey, what do you think of Tony Robbins? You know who he is?
Ooh.
Who the fuck's that guy? No, really. Do you know who he is? You don't know who he is?
They don't know who he is.
Yeah.
You know who he is.
Yeah.
Because what Tony Robbins is not a celebrity. I'm not a celebrity. He's not a celebrity. We're celebrity entrepreneurs.
Yep.
I invented that phrase. It's another book that I wrote. There's a bestseller on Amazon. It's called Celebrity Entrepreneurship. We do things that celebrities do to position ourselves in the minds of customers and prospects so that they think that we're very special, that they admire us.
Yep.
And if you want to learn about that stuff, either read Wisdom of the Men or Celebrity Entrepreneurship. It goes deep into it. I've been doing those things in this interview, by the way. I've been using those techniques in this interview. It's a deliberate strategy that all celebrity entrepreneurs that I mentioned do it. Grant Cardone does it. I can show you plenty of videos of Grant Cardone too. Nobody knows who he is, except for his clients and prospects.
Yeah, you're getting in front of the people that you want to be in front of and becoming that celebrity entrepreneur, right?
That's exactly right. That's the name of the game. Because we can't look, I'm never going to be famous. You're never going to be famous. You can't make yourself famous.
Yeah.
You could get hit by lightning, but that's the same chances you have of getting famous as getting hit by lightning.
Right.
You can do stuff that famous people do, like going on TV and writing best-selling books and other things that help you to position yourself as somebody special in the eyes of customers and prospects. And that's the name of the game.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, that's excellent. I know you've got a busy schedule and a lot going on. So again, I appreciate your time, Clint, and this has just been a pleasure to have you and to get a little more exposure and get a little bit to know you. And I'll be definitely grabbing that Audible book today and look forward to jumping into that over the next few days. I've got a 4-hour drive ahead of me in a couple of days, so that'll be good time to have that on.
Hey man, that'll be awesome because that'll take you there and back. Here, I got a photo shoot with Miss Mexico. We got to pick up as soon as I'm done with this interview.
Jeez, Acapulco, I'm jealous. What a beautiful place. Yeah.
Well, how about the girl? What about that?
Yeah, no kidding. She's not too bad looking.
That's Miss Mexico. I got more Miss Mexico's coming. I have another event. I teach people how to do the celebrity entrepreneurship stuff at an event called Impact, Influence, and Income. And the next one is going to be January 18th through 23rd. And I have Miss Mexico coming on the 23rd, a different Miss Mexico. This was Miss Mexico 2021, and the one who's coming was 2020. Okay. So
is that event in Acapulco? Where are you holding that?
Yeah, in Acapulco.
Oh, dude, that's what a great place.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know, it includes room and board at the villa. Like I said, it's a giant place, and I got 8 bedrooms. It sleeps 16 people, and that's the size of the events that I do. And
that's ideal because that intimacy is powerful. I believe those are some of the best events I've been to when they're more intimate.
Yeah, and it's going to be great, you know. And you know what's really interesting is that I do serve a lot of wine and beer and margaritas at my events. I have a butler who mixes up a mean drink, but I never get to drink any of that stuff anymore.
Hey, you know, I'll trade it for what you're doing. You know, it's pretty special stuff you're doing. Yeah, exactly. I don't either.
I would never trade my sobriety for anything.
No doubt.
You know, let's end it on this note. It took me a long time to understand that phrase in AA because I'm not in AA.
Right.
I don't do AA. Somebody said, do you white knuckle it? I'm like, no, I got a white dog. I walk the dog, right? I white dog it.
I don't do it either.
That saying, to thine own self be true.
Yeah.
That is the key to it all, man, because my sobriety is for me.
That's right.
My sobriety is for me. My wife has a different issue. You know, she deals with her issue. And you know, she's like, well, her issue is eating. And I go, hey, look, I don't tell you not to drink. You could drink. I sit there, you drink. I don't drink. I don't give up my sobriety just because you're drinking. If you want to handle your eating issue, that's up to you. You need to do it for you. I can't make you not want to drink. I can't make you not want to overeat. I can't make you want to lose weight. I can't make you do a goddamn thing. To thine own self be true. And my sobriety is for me.
It's 100%. Yep. Do it any other way, you're going to fail. Frankly, you just are.
I wish there was some way. I mean, I don't know how anyone unfortunately, I know clients who they both were using, and the wife started using again because they took in her father. Because her father was down and out. So they took him in and put him in the guest house, and he had pain pills and started giving them to her, and she started using again. And it ultimately came down to, I said to the guy, look, you got to tell the father, this is the situation. You're giving my wife access to drugs.
Yeah,
and
you
if
can't
you
have
weren't
it.
here, she wouldn't have it. And so you got to go.
It's true.
And you should want to go of your own volition.
Absolutely.
You're
knowing what it's going to do.
your daughter, you're destroying our family. We took you in out of the goodness of our hearts, but you got to go. And unfortunately, he can't make the wife want to stop.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough deal, man.
Thine own self.
So tough.
True, man.
That's
And
so
that's the
powerful.
same with becoming somebody. I can't make somebody want to be a celebrity entrepreneur. A lot of, we had a girl come here with her boyfriend. Okay. This girl is one of my top clients. She does everything that I do. I call her a girl. She's a doctor. Okay. And I'll show you a picture of her. She's a super cutie. I dropped her off at the airport today. Let's see, there you go. Isn't that a lovely picture of her? She came here 6-8 months ago with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend didn't want to participate, didn't want to, he just wants to punch a clock and do his own thing. And I can't make you want to be an entrepreneur. I can't make you have, what is the key to entrepreneurship is initiative. I can't make you take initiative. I can't make you have initiative.
Yeah.
Either you got it or you don't.
Oh, that's true.
In order to be a successful entrepreneur, you got to take initiative. And in order to be a successful celebrity entrepreneur, you got to be successful as an entrepreneur, and then to have the initiative to want to go out and take advantage of this marketing strategy, because that's really all it is.
Yeah.
It's a marketing strategy to give you an additional competitive advantage over your customers and prospects who may have products as good or better than you. But if your customers and prospects think that you are better than them, that you are higher status than them, then they're going to buy your thing and pay you more money and be more excited to buy your thing for more money than they would be to save $100 by buying your competition's thing, even if it's better, quote unquote. That's what this is all about. To thine own self be true, Steve.
That's fantastic.
Man.
Oh man, it's a pleasure. I look forward to I'll be following you and listening to your books, and hope to get back with you down the road. And Frank, I'd love to come see you at one of your events actually. So I'll stay in touch, but I appreciate you. Thanks so much for your time.
Right on, baby.
Okay. Take care.
All right.
See you later.
If you're a small business owner and want to acquire 5-star Google reviews on autopilot, Backbone CRM is the platform for you. It is the review and messaging platform for local business. It not only will get you your reviews on autopilot, it makes it easier to convert leads, message customers, get paid all in one place. Not only that, but Backbone will allow you to convert more website visitors into leads and more sales conversations with web chat. You can manage your messages with a single inbox for text, Facebook message, Google messages, web chats, email, and a whole other slew of social platforms. It'll also give you the opportunity, if you miss a call, to automatically text back. So when you're away, Backbone will follow up via text so you never lose another customer. You can grow your audience and know where each and every lead is coming from. Backbone is the all-in-one place platform to get you more leads and customers and Google reviews on autopilot. In fact, one of our clients that we onboarded last week, the day after we launched their company with Backbone, they received 5-star Google reviews the very next day, and they all came in within a 25-minute span. They were blown away. So if you're not afraid of getting more customers to your business, check out the short demo video at www.backbonecrm.io. That's backbonecrm.io, or you can give us a call at 888-668-5338.